Hey everybody, what's happening? Brent Axe here from syracuse.com, and we are live on the Syracuse Orange Basketball Facebook page, presented by our friends at Krause Health. And we're coming off the heels of a 78-56 loss by the Syracuse Basketball Orange in Blacksburg, Virginia. So that the first true road loss of the season for the Orange. They lost a couple of games at Madison Square Garden, but went to Notre Dame, went to Ohio State, went to Duke, won true road games there. But the Orange pick up an ACC loss tonight, so they're now 5-2 in ACC play. They're 14-6 overall. Virginia Tech winning this one 78-56. Tough night for Syracuse and Blacksburg, as we will discuss here on Facebook Live. Great to be back with you here. Hope you can like and share this post if you're watching it live. Let people know we're here chatting with you here on this Saturday night following Syracuse's second game in 3 days. They won easily against Miami Thursday night, but not an easy night by any stretch, and a game Syracuse never led in Blacksburg, Virginia. It's the start of 3 straight road games for Syracuse. They'll play Boston College Wednesday night, and they will then head to Pittsburgh for a second go-around with the Panthers before the Orange return home on February the 5th. But the start of 3 road games tonight for Syracuse certainly does not go their way. If you are watching live, we appreciate that. But just so you know, we do put this up on YouTube. We do archive all of these chats that we do. And we'll be here after every ACC game chatting live with you. But we do put them up on YouTube. Subscribe on the Syracuse Orange Sports page, or you can check them out in my recap, which comes out the day after each Syracuse basketball game. So in this case, Sunday morning, it will be up, and the YouTube video of this chat will be there. So big difference in this game tonight was Virginia Tech's man-to-man defense. They were all over Syracuse. They were in their face throughout the game, challenging shooters, challenging Syracuse offensively. And there's one stat that really stands out about this game tonight based on how well Virginia Tech played defense. You go back to Thursday night, Syracuse assisted on 22 of their 26 field goals in that game. It was another game where Syracuse, was feeling it from three-point range, a season-high 14 threes in that game, almost a school record, which is 15. They've done that a few different times, most recently a couple years ago against Georgia Tech. Stark difference tonight for the Orange, just 7 assists on the evening. Throw it over to Virginia Tech side. They had 23 assists on the night. Virginia Tech shooting 25 of 48. 23 of those baskets were assisted. Terrific ball movement all night long for Virginia Tech. An intense man-to-man defense, and that really shut down Syracuse. They really struggled on the offensive end, going 20 of 55. That's 36%. Syracuse did hit 9 3-pointers. A lot of those came in the first half, but they shot 9 of 28 overall. So Syracuse had shot 46% from three-point range in its last 3 games, just 32% tonight. That number applies to Virginia Tech. It goes 14 of 30. That was 46% from three-point range. And boy, did Justin Robinson burn the Orange tonight. This guy comes out. He plays 37 minutes. He goes 9 of 13 from the field. All of those from three-point range. 9 three-pointers. It's like that Ferris Bueller scene. 9 times for Justin Robinson, drilling threes all night. He also set the Virginia Tech school record for assists career-wise. He had 8 in this game tonight. So Syracuse just could not find Justin Robinson throughout the night. They couldn't stop the ball movement by Virginia Tech, all the threes for the Hokies, and they just took over a rabid crowd in Blacksburg that Syracuse was rattled by. Syracuse certainly not as organized on the defensive end tonight. Just to throw a couple numbers at you on the Syracuse end. OShea Brissett goes out 16 points tonight. Frank Howard had 13 points for Syracuse for the second straight game. Tyus Battle scores just 10 points. He's 3 of 10. Elijah Hughes, coming off one of his best games of the season Thursday night, shut down tonight by Virginia Tech. 29 minutes for him, 2 of 13 shooting. Both of those three-pointers for Elijah, but certainly not on his game tonight. Jim Boeheim mentioned in his press conference, maybe some of you saw it here on Facebook Live a few minutes ago, Pascal Chukwu goes back into the hole that he was in before a recent good string of games. Just 2 points, 3 rebounds for Pascal. He's been on a big block shot string lately, but he did not block any shots tonight. I'll tell you, the sunny side, if you read my recap on syracuse.com, always appreciate when you guys do that, so you know that we have a sunny side and a dark side. The sunny side is going to be pretty light coming out of this game. But one thing I did like was how OShea Brissett played. There was a few possessions where he forced some shots, where he gave the ball away, and you kind of, a couple times he took a three-pointer when he shouldn't have, but he made 2 or 3 of the best moves to the basket he has made all year. He was the only player that Syracuse could get inside in any way. He made a couple of plays, one from a couple where he kind of drove in from the three-point line, nice kind of stutter step inside. He attacked the basket from the three-point line early in the second half for a dunk. And I think that's what Syracuse fans have been looking for. So if you're looking for any sort of baby steps of progress, something to take out of this game from a positive front, I thought OShea Brissett showed some signs of confidence. He showed some signs of progress, and he's finishing at the basket a lot better, at least in this game. You want to see him take a progression there because Syracuse, as it was exposed by Virginia Tech tonight, doesn't have much of an inside game. They didn't have much of an inside game against Miami on Thursday. You hit 14 three-pointers. You just kind of ride that wave. You can get Tyus inside at times. Frank Howard has certainly not been the player there he usually is. O'Shea is really your only consistent inside threat. Marek Dolezaj at times can hit that jumper inside, and Pascal Chukwu has been doing mostly things on the rebounding and defensive end. He's still pretty much a liability on the offensive end. So I was encouraged by what I saw from O'Shea tonight. A lot of people have really been ragging on him throughout the season in terms of what he's been doing, and fairly so at times. There's been a lot of games where O'Shea just hasn't finished at the basket, certainly not looking like a player that some projected to go to the NBA after this season. But tonight, I think he made some big steps forward, and to do it against one of the better, man-to-man defenses you're going to see in ACC play, at least there's one step of progress there. Buddy Boeheim didn't get much play tonight, and that's why. Virginia Tech plays a very intense man-to-man defense. I think Jim Boeheim kind of backed off on Buddy coming in. Maybe they could have used him. Maybe Syracuse could have pressed a little bit more, but this was just one of those nights that you knew it was Virginia Tech. Syracuse had 11 turnovers in the first half. That's not going to help your cause. We mentioned the lack of ball movement. Your big stars aren't scoring. Elijah Hughes couldn't score. Tyus Battle couldn't score. So, hey, Mama said there'd be days like this. Days like this, Mama said. And it was a bad night in Blacksburg. I mean, there's no such thing as a good loss per se, but, it's a quality loss in the eyes of the NCAA tournament. It's a top 10 team. It's a quad one opportunity for the Orange gone by, but they've got plenty of those left on the schedule. You don't want to lose to a team like Miami on Thursday, certainly Boston College on Wednesday, maybe even Pitt on Saturday, because those could tier on that quad 3, placement possibly. So, I mean, if you're going to pick some losses, this would certainly be one of them. Virginia Tech is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. They were awful on the road, playing 2 of the better teams in the ACC, honestly, in Virginia, who beat them 81-59. They go to North Carolina, who smokes them 103-82. But Virginia Tech at home, Buzz Williams has built a pretty strong program, has built a pretty strong home court advantage there, and Buzz Williams was on the court all night long again, didn't get called for a technical foul. I don't know why this doesn't happen. This is amazing that he can be on the court as much as he is throughout the game and never draws a technical foul. It's ridiculous. And, in terms of things that happen in this game, it's not even my top 10. But I just like to note that because it's annoying. And they did actually call a double technical at the end of the first half on Blackshear and Pascal Chukwu. Or no, it was Barama Sidibe at the end of the first half. So you're going to call a double technical on a play that really didn't – you probably could have let it go. But Buzz Williams is like essentially the 6th man on the court all night, and you're not calling anything. That just drives me crazy. Buzz Williams is a great coach. Don't get me wrong. A lot of energy. He's built a top 10 program in Blacksburg, Virginia, Virginia Tech. That's not easy to do. Buzz Williams wins wherever he goes. They can make a 4th straight NCAA tournament certainly this season, but get off the court, Buzz. You're not a player. They even had sneakers on tonight, right? But you're not a player. How about those pink uniforms, by the way? I did not see. I would imagine that was for breast cancer research. If not, just wearing pink uniforms, the orange-pink contrast. I think they should have communicated with Syracuse ahead of time, and maybe Syracuse could have gone with the whites instead of the road orange tonight because that was tough to see. And again, if they're raising money for some sort of charitable cause, that's fantastic. But sometimes these alternate uniforms, they don't adjust your screen, right? Is my color broken? So that was interesting to see that contrast out there tonight. All right, let's see what you guys are saying here in the comments. Get in there, do your thing. Josh saying Marek made a basket tonight. Yeah, but you need him to make more than that. And you look at the typical Marek Dolezaj box score. He's got points, rebounds, assists. Go up and down the box score. He's doing something. Marek just didn't have those opportunities tonight. He played just 17 minutes, scored 2 points, grabbed 2 rebounds. Jim Boeheim mentioned it at the press conference how Pascal Chukwu, certainly, there's just games he disappears. And tonight was one of them. And, Virginia Tech's defense was a big reason for that. And Syracuse, they got rattled. They got intimidated. Virginia Tech was relentless in their man-to-man defense. And Syracuse just, couldn't find a presence inside the arc. And once they started missing shots, Virginia Tech took advantage of that. There was a spurt at the beginning of the second half. Syracuse goes on an 8-0 run. They're attacking the basket. A 19-point lead at one point for Virginia Tech, whittled down to 8. It looked like Syracuse was going to at least make this a competitive game, make it interesting down the stretch. But Virginia Tech punched right back, particularly Robinson, with 35 points in this game, hit 9 3-pointers. Hill had a couple of 3-pointers, and then Virginia Tech started getting some fast breaks. Syracuse got desperate, and it became one of those nights. Michael Antonio, Axe Buzz is a hack. I'm not a big Buzz fan of him being on the court as much as he is. I think Buzz is a good coach, though. Let's see. Mike saying Virginia Tech has finished ahead of us in the ACC 4 out of the last 5 years, and you can attribute that to Buzz Williams for sure. I think he's doing good things down there in Blacksburg. Let's see. Refs were a joke on both sides. I don't disagree with that. I think the refs got a little whistle happy in the second half. Syracuse went into halftime. This has happened more often than you would think this year. Syracuse, I think for the 4th time, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, I know it's happened at least 3 times, has gone into halftime without a free throw, which is pretty incredible. Now, they couldn't really drive inside. You get your free throws by driving the ball in the paint. You're not going to get a lot of free throws hanging out on the arc, but just a weird thing that happens. And, so they go into halftime, they don't even shoot a free throw. Virginia Tech had 8 free throw attempts in the first half, and then it went both. The crowd hated the referees on both sides in that building, and it got a little frustrating to watch them tonight. But, look, Uncle Brent loves to tell you that free throws matter, and they do. But when Virginia Tech's got a consistent 12, 14, 16-point lead, I don't think the refs were a factor. They certainly were annoying in this game tonight and were very inconsistent in this game tonight. Larry saying too much standing around, lack of adjustment by Jimmy, no press until too late. Free throws were pathetic. This has been an issue for Syracuse. When you look at the games they've lost, even Old Dominion, Buffalo, some of those early losses going back to when they played at Madison Square Garden, look at the assist numbers in those games. For the most part, they were bad. Tonight, just 7 assists coming off a game where you assisted 22 of your 26 field goals against Miami. You had to find a middle ground there, and it shows you can do it. I know Syracuse played a zone defense and Virginia Tech played a man-to-man, but Virginia Tech, that's some of the most beautiful ball movement I have seen all year long. Hot potato, moving around, reminded me of Hoosiers, right? 4 passes before you shoot it. Gene Hackman out there on the bench with Buzz Williams. So I think Syracuse definitely needed to move the ball better. It's something they had been doing. But when you play a soft zone that Miami did, leaving shooters open, Jim Laranaga's team was a little shorthanded, only 7 scholarship players. But Virginia Tech, I think they were down to 8 or 9 scholarship players with a couple injuries and some things happening on their team as well. They moved the ball beautifully. We mentioned their assist numbers. They had 23. Syracuse had just 7. You can always make up for a loud crowd and intense defense by moving the ball. And I think what happened is Syracuse fell into the pace that Virginia Tech wanted to play. They want that frantic pace. Virginia Tech's the 3rd best 3-point shooting team in the country. One guy had 9 threes alone. Syracuse could not find him because of that ball movement. I mean, it wasn't a lack of – I see the same comments happen when Syracuse loses. They're not playing hard. Don't confuse effort with execution. when you are trying to trail a shooter, when you're trying to move in the zone defense, Virginia Tech is moving the ball that well. That's not lack of effort. That's just, you can see the hesitation. You can see the confusion that Syracuse had. That's not effort. It's just execution. When you're not executing, when you are executing, you're just moving, you're playing, you're not thinking. Syracuse was thinking. They were a step behind tonight because Virginia Tech was just that much better. They fell into the pace that the Hokies wanted to play and spent the whole game trying to get out of it. That can happen. That can happen in tough arenas in the ACC, small gyms like the one that Virginia Tech plays in Blacksburg. You're going to lose some road games. You're going to lose to good teams in the league, and that's what happened tonight for Syracuse. Now, where you want to be careful is you still need a few more quad one wins. And the back end of Syracuse's schedule is absolutely brutal. So you want to pile up as many ACC wins as you can now before you go into that gauntlet. Speaking of the back end of the schedule, I'm sure a lot of you saw this. Quick note, the Syracuse-Duke game on February 23rd already sold out, and they say will set a new attendance record. So I'm kind of wondering where Duke's going to be at that point and where Syracuse is going to be at that point. They may still need, when those two teams meet on the 23rd of February, a few more quad one wins, and Syracuse already has one in their back pocket against Duke. But I wonder what kind of team we're going to see about a month from now when that game takes place. Hey, Dave's in Vegas. Hello there. Certainly a lot warmer than the 16 degrees out my window right now. I'm sure that's the case for you. Hope things are going well out there in Vegas. William saying maybe try the 1-2-2 matchup. It'll take time. Nick noting that Syracuse had too many dumb turnovers in this game. Yeah, not just turnovers, bad turnovers. But, again, I give more credit to Virginia Tech's defense than Syracuse having some brain cramps there. But, Syracuse was a rattled basketball team in the first half. You could see it. They got swallowed up by the pace of this game, the man-to-man defense Virginia Tech played, the confusion on offense. And, what happened is Syracuse did kind of fall back into that ISO trap. Now you're shooting threes. We mentioned that two of your best offensive players did not have good games tonight, notably Tyus Battle, but certainly Elijah Hughes. Elijah Hughes just opens things up so much more for other players on offense when he's hitting that three, because it allows Syracuse to just kind of – it draws the defense. It leaves players open because you've got to respect when Elijah Hughes gets the ball in his hands. That didn't happen tonight. You can't put Buddy Boeheim in against an intense man-to-man team like this. Buddy's good. When he can set, when he can kind of plant and shoot, when he can come off the pass, that kind of quick pass shoot. You're not going to get that against Virginia Tech. I think Jim was smart not to play Buddy as much as he did. I mean, you can make the argument that Syracuse was down and needed the spark from the three-point shooting, but this is just not the kind of team that Buddy right now can play against. I think in a couple, next year, year after that, when he's a little bigger, a little more used to intense ACC defenses, you got to remember, the last few teams that Syracuse played that Buddy had success against, a lot of them were playing zone defense. And I know how ironic that is to say that a Boeheim breaks his zone defense, but that was certainly the case against Miami tonight. I think he would have had a real tough time breaking that Virginia Tech man-to-man defense. Josh saying they got in Elijah's face early. Virginia Tech is dirty. I don't think they're dirty. I just think they play hard. I mean, there was the elbow. They called the flagrant one. When you play intense defense, there's going to be some rough plays. From people that watch the old Big East back in the day, there's just certain things that aren't going to get called. These days it does. I think for the most part, Virginia Tech played great defense. But you make a great point, Josh. They looked at the film, and they saw how successful Syracuse has been when Elijah Hughes is in a groove, and they said, we're not going to let that kid come out and own this game tonight, and it kind of went from there. Michael Antonio, if the refs actually did their jobs, the Hokies would be in foul trouble early, and this game would have been a Syracuse win. Why would this have been a Syracuse win if the refs had done their job? I mean, Virginia Tech was up 12, 14, 16 points throughout this game. The refs don't play defense on Justin Robinson, Michael Antonio. You got to cover that guy. He was wide open for a number of three-pointers. The refs did not decide the gap that Virginia Tech had on Syracuse in this game. I think you got to give a little credit to how Virginia Tech played, how particularly Justin Robinson was hitting shots and a few other players for Virginia Tech when he didn't have the ball in his hands. There's nothing to do with the officials setting the tone. It's about playing defense on that guy, and it's about moving the ball on offense, which, again, has nothing to do with the officials. I think you guys get way too wrapped up in the officiating. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at times. Certainly I got annoyed at a number of whistles, but refs don't guard Justin Robinson. Refs don't move the ball on offense. 22 assists the other night, 7 tonight. A lot more going to it. Refs didn't take Elijah Hughes out of the game. They didn't take Tyus Battle out of the game. All right, so let's get over the ref thing for this one. Brandon said, I miss Johnny Flynn. Where is Johnny? I haven't heard from Johnny Flynn in years. This is the 10-year anniversary of the 6 overtime game this year. We haven't heard a peep from Johnny Flynn. Johnny, if you're out there, drop a line. We want to hear from you, buddy. Where you been? Let's see. Larry saying we didn't lose because of the officials. Thank you, Larry, for agreeing with me. I mean, you guys get way too wrapped up in that stuff. I tell you what, why don't we wrap on that note? And second of 3 road games in a row coming for Syracuse Wednesday night against Boston College, and then they'll head to Pittsburgh. So that's when we'll join you again live here on the Syracuse Orange Basketball Facebook page. Again, if you missed this chat and want to check it out later, we do put it up on YouTube on the Syracuse Orange Sports page, or you can find it in my recap on syracuse.com. Orange drop a tough one tonight, 78-56. Virginia Tech gets this one, so we'll see what the Orange do to rebound Wednesday night against Boston College. That is also an 8 o'clock tip time, and we'll be right back here with you after that game. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. No football on tomorrow unless you count the Pro Bowl. I mean, I don't count the Pro Bowl, but I guess I'll check it out for lack of no other football on tomorrow. It's going to be weird not having football on, but, of course, next weekend, Super Bowl weekend, so we'll get ready for that all next week as well. But we'll be back with you after the Syracuse-BC game live here on Facebook, the Syracuse Orange Basketball Facebook page on Wednesday night. In the meantime, thanks for hanging with us tonight. Thanks to our friends at Krause Health for sponsoring this. And you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. We'll talk to you next time right here on Facebook Live.